And do you have any predictions that you made that you'd like to recount to us that you found were correct, or your speculations then as a scientist that were correct about how things unfolded in computer science and artificial intelligence?
I can't remember all my speculations, but...
A favorite one?
Well, I was interested in chess as a field, as Donald was. In fact, he and Sean Wiley produced a little program very early on, just a one-move analyzer. And in one of my letters to Turing, I said that one could easily beat this by psychological play, that is, by complicating the game, if it was only looking one move ahead. And I also, in a postscript to one of my letters in 1948 to him, pointed out that a machine should not just look a certain number of moves ahead, but should look ahead until the position became, in modern terminology, quiescent. And I think that, although of course that wasn't published, I think it may have been an early written statement to that effect, that some kind of a tree that was not just cut off uniformly like a prunes tree, but went forward wherever it was found necessary when the position was not quiescent, until it became quiescent. It was one of the early ideas which occurs in Shanna's paper on chess, as an example. I think perhaps I might have influenced Turing for a change. I mean, Turing certainly influenced me in many ways, but I think perhaps I might have influenced him on that, in that postscript.
In our more informal conversations, you had sounded out a warning about control being handed over to intelligent machines. Maybe you could comment on that.
Yes, well, I wrote a paper in 1965 called Speculations Concerning the First Ultra-Intelligent Machine. And I started off that letter by banging a gong by saying the survival of humanity depends on the early construction of an ultra-intelligent machine. But I also realized that this was also dangerous, that such a machine, if we weren't careful, would take everything over, an idea that's been taken up in science fiction, of course. And the question, for example, would arise of the social repercussions of having such a machine. It would certainly produce social repercussions, unemployment perhaps, because the machine would construct robots and so on for doing manual work, in addition to all the scientists becoming unemployed. The question then that I would address to the ultra-intelligent machine was how to cure these difficulties. The machine might say, well, you'd better turn me off. I don't know what it would say.
But you're not sure you would get a direct or an even honest answer.
Well, there's that danger too, especially if an idea which came up some time ago was put into effect, of letting the machine, so to speak, fight it out by natural selection amongst themselves. Because if they got into the habit of self-preservation, then they would become even more dangerous than if they were regarded as tools of humanity.
You mentioned science fiction a moment ago. Are you an avid reader of science fiction?
I used to read a lot of science fiction at one time. I had one idea which I discovered later had been anticipated by Isaac Asimov.
Which one is that?
Well, I thought of all the ultra-intelligent entities in outer space. It seemed to me there would be good reason to believe they existed if there is life in outer space, and I think that's, I felt that was probable, and that they would be hundreds of millions of years ahead of us in all probability, because 100 million years is not much compared with the age of the universe, and that therefore they would be so incredibly advanced that we could hardly imagine what they would be like. But at that time I also thought that telepathy might be possible. And so I made the speculation that all these ultra-intelligent machines in telepathic communication would be like the neurons of a vast brain, which I called GODD, because it would resemble God so much.